There's a hidden theme of duality in the regions of Wrath, and I wanted to make a video that explains my fan theory regarding duality when it comes to the regions of Wrath. Just give you an overview of what duality is, because I think it's a real hidden theme in Flesh and Blood, and it's just my assumption. I haven't really heard anyone else talk about this for a very long time. I've had this theory since September 2020. I've been talking about it on and off for a couple months, and you might have heard me say the word duality and thought I was just trying to say a nice little buzzword to make myself sound intelligent. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing, and it's a really cool concept, man. And it's really what got me to love Flesh and Blood when I delved into the lore and the artwork and went down the rabbit hole, man. So we're gonna be going through the rabbit hole today, and you're gonna be digging down maybe 7 to 8 feet today. Not too deep, not too deep, just the tip of the dirt. Going down the rabbit hole of the hidden meanings behind Flesh and Blood. And this is just a theory. I've had this fan theory for a bit, I've just said. And normally I wouldn't say this. Normally I wouldn't discuss this out loud and voice my theories, because I think this one is pretty high likelihood. And in those theories, I try not to discuss publicly because I want you to discover. I want you guys to take your pickaxes and your shovels and start digging down your rabbit holes and create your own theories and stuff. And I want you guys to discover this as well. But I've honestly, I made a video a very long time ago talking about this. I've talked about it a lot, so I think it's already public knowledge that I know about this, and this is a theory that I've had. So I'm not really, bursting any bubble here. So this is just a video that just encapsulates what I'm talking about with duality with the regions of Wrath. And again, I think duality is a theme you see many times again through Flesh and Blood. It's not the centralized thing of, oh, this is the whole purpose of the whole lore, but it's just a hidden little meaning of, thing. And I've talked about it in various other topics in the past, not just the regions, but the regions I feel are just a very easy way to see that there is duality in this game, and it is a theme. It's just very high, but I can't 100% say it is. But anyway, so without further ado, let's start going down the rabbit hole. So I'll put a link down below for an older video. It was September 12th, I believe, 2020, where I discussed this a little bit. You could see that one. But for this, I just want to talk about the map behind me. So I printed this out. This was one of the marketing assets. I do not own the rights to this, obviously. I just printed out, and I'm not selling these in my basement. This is just for my personal use. And again, if you print anything out that Legend Story Studios has, do not sell it. You have to just keep it for yourself, and you have to check their whole guidelines and everything with printing stuff out and doing whatever you have. But from what I saw, it looked like I could just print this out and, yeah, put it on my wall and enjoy it. So what you have here is the map of Wrath from the Legend Story Studios website. I first want to center your attention on the border, man. Let's look at the border. The border is very nice. You see a bunch of little colorful images. You might wonder what they are, and I'm going to tell you here. They are the regions of Wrath. So you have Metrix up here. Volcor, this dragon, is Volcor. Then right here, this is Misteria. This up here is the pits. This is Aria up here. And then down to the bottom right is the Savage Lands. And that is Demonastery and Solana right here. So off the bat, from the border, I said that there's duality, right? Polar opposites. And the definition of duality is, yeah, when you have like two opposing sides, complete opposites in a way. That's duality. It's a really cool buzzword. You should add it to your verbiage, because it's a fun little word. And it really does have a lot of depth to it. So when I say duality, well, what do I mean? Well, you have Demonastery here, and then you have Solana here. They're polar opposites. Then you have the pits here above my big ass head. And then you have Misteria down here. Same with up here, Aria and Savage Land. So everywhere, and then Metrix and Volcor. All these are polar opposites, and those solidify that they are polar opposites. And I'm going to get into the reasoning now. So let's start with the easiest one out there. So let's look at the inner part of the map now, and I'll start explaining why. You might say, okay, Bronson, they're on the opposite side of the map, but well, what the fuck does that mean? I'll tell you here, man. So you got Solana, Demonastery. This is the easiest, man. You've got light and you've got darkness. You know, those are polar opposites. Easy enough. Then the next one is Metrix and Volcor. And do you see how they're on the opposite sides of the map? Duality on different sides. So Volcor is all about magic and using the magic that's in the world and doing wizard type of stuff, right? Pure magic. Well, the opposite of that is science and technology. Science technology is using what we have in the real world to make things that make different like mechanical objects. Well, that is the opposite of pure magic. So the next one we have is the pits and Mysteria. And this is another polar opposite where it's not too bad to really see what it's going here. Is Mysteria is all, covered in shadows. Things are discreet and things are not as they appear, and it's all shrouded. It's shrouded in mystery. But then when you have the pits, things are raw, man. Things are raw as shit. Like, you see a rock, it is a rock. In Mysteria, you see a rock, it could be a flamingo. You do not know what a rock is in Mysteria, but in the pits, it is a rock. So what I'm saying is, the pits is just raw and to the point. It's really just, it is what it is. Mysteria is more shrouded in mystery, shrouded in whatever fog you want, and that's kind of how that is, right? So you kind of see there too. Then let's see, what are we going to go after? Let's see Aria up here and the Savage Lands down here. Do you see how they're polar opposites? Do you see Savage Lands, Aria, polar opposites on the map yet again? And Aria is very beautiful and everything's happy and things are just like very visually pleasing. Savage Lands are just like, people raging and there's blood everywhere and there's just savage things happening in the Savage Lands, go figure. So those are different in that aspect too, where one is very beautiful and the other one is savage. And if you really just take it all in, man, you can see all the regions that I just talked about are polar opposites on the map and polar opposites on the border. So you can really see how it really does have polar opposites in every direction. And this was really cool. When I first figured this out, and I didn't really figure it out, it's just a fan theory for now, man. It could not be true. It could be true. Who knows? But it just makes so much sense to me. I mean, I've had a lot of fan theories of Flesh and Blood, and I've said many times, and you've watched if you've watched all my other videos about collectability and playing the game and doing all this stuff, I like that stuff. It's a lot of fun. This is what got me to love Flesh and Blood. The whole duality aspect and just a bunch of other types of rabbit hole type things that I have yet to discuss, but that kind of stuff is really what made me love this game is just diving into it. And yeah, I think there's not too much else to say about the map. I mean, there's a bunch of different things like you got the sea serpent down here and you got some like random crazy pit up here. I mean, you've got a bunch of things going on the map, and those things will have yet to be discovered. And I think there's a lot of pinpoints on this map that are going to be more fleshed out. I mean, I could even see an updated map where you see different little cities around Aria, around Mysteria, and you could see plot points. That would be really cool. I could see a bunch more things added to this map over time. But for now, I think the overlying theme is duality with the whole regions. All of them are polar opposites. And it's really interesting how they peppered that in there, and they didn't really just tell you that. They did it for people to discover. And I don't know, I could be the first person to have this fan theory and really discuss this I definitely think I'm the first person who's discussing it publicly, but maybe you've had this idea too, and let me know what you think, because I think it's a really cool thing that they peppered into the game, in my opinion, in my fan theory. I don't know for 100% sure, but I definitely have really high suspicions, man, because it makes sense. And especially with the new Monarch release, you have the epic battle between light and dark, two polar opposites. It's duality, man. It's two opposing forces. And not only is it with Solana and Demonastery light and dark that's going against each other, but then you have, Aria and the Savage Lands going to, those are polar opposites. And then you have, the Pits and Misteria, they're going against each other. And then you have Volcor and Metrix going against each other. And I don't know if they're going to really fit that into the story. Like maybe Dash's arch nemesis is Kano and, you know, the brute guy, Rydar is versing Dorinthia, and if Katsu's fighting whoever Azalea, I don't know if they're gonna do that too much into the actual storyline. I don't think that is as much. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. But I definitely think that these are polar opposite regions, like I've just said, and the inner workings of the map really kind of show that where they are the polar opposites. But I think what is a bigger thing that shows that is the border, man. I mean, you cannot argue with the border where these regions are placed. I mean, they are polar opposites from one another, and it just really makes sense that these are polar opposites region wise. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit with the duality aspect and maybe that planted a seed. And again, the purpose of this is not really to teach you. I definitely want people to be interested in the lore and the artwork. And I typically don't want to just give stuff away and tell people, hey, this is the answer key to all the tests for Flesh and Blood. No, man, I'm not that guy. I definitely want people to think for themselves and have fun adventuring into the lore. But I just want to say at the end is that I've had this opinion for a very long time. I said it in September before I started delving deeper into the rabbit hole and before I realized how far it goes. But the purpose of this is just to discuss it a little bit and to get you interested in the lore and the artwork and trying to figure out more of what Flesh and Blood has to offer. Because in time, there will be a Wikia page, there will be answer keys all over the interwebs that explain this is what Flesh and Blood is. This is the answer key to all the different lore and the stuff and the hidden meanings and all this stuff. And that's going to be great. It's going to happen over time. But if you're listening to this and you're interested, this is a perfect time to get interested in the Flesh and Blood lore and artwork. This is the perfect time in just 2021 to really delve into it before everything is finalized and released, because it's just a time where you can figure stuff out. You can delve into things at your own, and you might be wrong, you might be right. It doesn't really matter. It's just I've had a lot of fun delving into these things, and the purpose of me really kind of explaining this is to get you interested. I'm supposed to be giving out shovels, man. I'm giving all the people out shovels with this video. You guys take your shovels and you start digging around different places in the Flesh and Blood lore, because it really does have a lot of treasure once you go down deep and you figure stuff out. It's fun to really theorize and stuff. And I've definitely been wrong many times in the past with different lore and stuff that I've tried to uncover. But all in all, it's just been a great adventure. And this is probably one of the base things that you can see in Flesh and Blood, that it has depth. And that's what I mean when I say depth. When you hear me say depth, it's not just another buzzword. What it means is you see that there are regions. You know that they have backstory. Depth is when you add a hidden theme like duality to the regions, where the end user has to use all the wrinkles in their brain to figure out what it has to do, and think, oh hey, maybe there's a theme here. Maybe they are different. Maybe they are polar opposites, and this is what's going on, and this was the direction of how they were created. That is depth to me. That is when the creator has a hidden meaning for everything that isn't really supposed to be a solution or answer key. It's just a hidden type of thing that you put in a game to make people think, wow, that was smart. That was a cool thing to add to this. And that's really what it is. It's a hidden theme in my mind, in my humble, fan theory type brain. I think that it is definitely something that exists. And I really encourage everyone out there, hit me up. Let me know what you think about this. But, I think that anyone out there can definitely take more shovels and dig around a bunch of different places in the Flesh and Blood TCG lore and artwork and find things like this because it's it's been a blast. And it's what really made me fall in love with the game. So hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've learned a little bit more about duality and depth in Flesh and Blood. And hope you, yeah, hit me up and let me know what you think. And hope you really enjoy and adventure into Flesh and Blood lore like I have because it is definitely very rewarding. So have a nice day. Peace.